About 43 years ago, my father was 6 years old and living in Montreal, Quebec. As I'm sure many of you know, this city was being transformed into an educational theme park at this time as a means of celebration. When I asked my dad about the festivities of the Expo in '67 and the 100th anniversary of Confederation, I had no idea that I was signing up for an hour-long story time and craft show. To my own surprise, I ended up enjoying the stories that my dad told me and chatting about the little passport that he filled out and the coins that he collected. The only downside to this was that even after 43 years, he could remember every single lyric to the French version of the Expo theme song and proceeded to try and sing them to me. Even though Jeff Melanson has said that everyone is an artist, I can assure you that my father is not a singer. J'ai compris un des facteurs clés au succès de ces événements quand j'ai demandé à ma mère à propos d'eux. À ma surprise, elle a commencé à chanter la version anglaise de la chanson thème du Expo en 67. Mes parents ont tous deux des souvenirs très vivides de ces événements, car à un jeune âge, des célébrations aussi marquantes qu'élaborées ont laissé un souvenir indélébile. J'étais très impressionnée par ceci, car mes deux parents ont été élevés dans une langue différente. Mon père est français et ma mère est anglaise, alors je crois que c'est très important pour les grands événements d'être facilement accessibles en les deux langues. When I asked my mother if she had any other similar memories from her childhood, the 1972 Summit Series came up. I think that mostly every Canadian who had a television or a radio at this time remembers the great Canadian goal that won it all. As for my mom, she recalls the explosive feelings of excitement that she shared with her classmates on the bus ride home when she heard about the goal on the radio. These are the types of memories that parents love to share with their children, because even though they happened so long ago, their emotions were so strong at this time that they will remember even just the little details, where they were, who they were with, what the weather was on that day, that they were wearing their favorite sweater. I soon started thinking about what types of memories that I have that are this strong that I'll want to share with my children someday. The first thing that came to mind was my recent trip to the Arctic a couple of years ago. The Cape Farewell Project is an initiative generated by the British government to help young students from all across the world band together, discussing the ways that they can help to fight against climate change. I don't think I'll ever forget how much I felt like a superstar when our local news and television stations did stories on this voyage. It made me feel like a true ambassador to get to represent not only my province, but my country, and I will never forget how lucky I am to have had the opportunity so graciously nurtured by the government. Upon my return, I felt inspired when people in my community stopped me to let me know that they now compost a little more often and use recyclable grocery bags. During the voyage, I was so proud to be Canadian when I had the chance to teach one of the voyagers from Brazil, who, believe it or not, had never seen snow before, how to make a snowman. One of the most beneficial aspects of this voyage was to get to know and learn about the lives of students my age from every province and territory in the country. I really don't think that there is currently enough emphasis on interprovincial travel for high school students, nor are there enough opportunities for them to do this. In the 12th grade, I applied for and got accepted into a government-subsidized program that allowed me to meet students from all across the country in Ottawa for a whole week. This program, Encounters with Canada, allowed me to once again network with students from all across the world and learn about their everyday lives. At the end of the week, we put on little skits about our provinces, and I was genuinely surprised to see how different each province's heritage really is. Many of my friends from home and people I've recently met in university have taken part in this program, and all of these participants have said that they are still keeping contact with people on the other side of the country. Let me tell you that there is no better way to get countrywide information than to be receiving it firsthand from a peer. This past summer, I had yet again another opportunity to represent my province at the Canada Summer Games in PEI. After training for about 3 years on the Kennebecasis River, I was so excited to find out that all the 5 a.m. rowing practices had finally paid off, and we would soon be heading off to what we like to call the teenage version of the Olympics. The thing that is so special about the Canada Games is that teens and young adults from every sport get a chance to watch and learn other sports firsthand when they aren't competing themselves. Every evening of the Games, there were organized activities and artistic opportunities for the provinces to mingle and exchange views and opinions. Very similar to the Olympics, the Canada Games had a fantastic opening ceremonies where each of the athletes got to shake hands with the Prime Minister and the Governor General. Just like in the Olympics, each province entered the stadium following their flag bearer, decked out from head to toe in provincial gear. Each of the team's provincial gear was sponsored by their government, and it was a great way to show our provincial pride and identify with one another. When it came down to business, I will always remember how kind the other crews were to us on the race course. All of the teams shared rags to clean off our boats with and got to know one another. One of the rowers from British Columbia, our biggest competition, came and introduced himself to me before the big race and wished me good luck. I'm so happy to know that good sportsmanship and genuine friendliness is something that is shared from coast to coast. I couldn't have been happier when my crew, the smallest province to make the final, won the bronze medal. This will always be a great memory for me, but the thing that I will always cherish about the Canada Games are the friendships that I made. My mother has just returned home from the Vancouver Olympics, and she certainly brought her pride home to share. Even though I didn't get to go, my residence at St. FX University in the small town of Antigonish, Nova Scotia, made the best of our situation. The build-up for the 2010 Olympics was an epic parade of pride that really got the two coasts of the country together. The torch rally was a great way to make all of Canada feel connected without physically squishing the country together. The town that I go to school in is so small that the biggest parking lot is the one in behind my residence. On November 17th, I woke up at around 9 a.m. to the heavy sound of machinery. When I walked down the hall, I saw two giant Olympic RVs and a whole crew of Olympic volunteers setting up a stage and testing microphones. Little did I know, on that dark, rainy Tuesday morning, the Olympic torch rally was making a pit stop in our small town. The most impressive thing about the torch rally for me was that when a small concert put on by the Olympic Committee somehow got about 2,000 university students up out of bed and out in the rain for several hours. Although many people think that teenagers don't have very much pride in their country, I can't think of any other time that so many students have put everything else aside to gather outdoors in yucky weather. Every student just wanted to feel a little bit of the magic of the Olympic torch. A few months later, all of my girlfriends and I, who represent 8 out of the 10 provinces, gathered in my room to watch the opening ceremonies. Close to the end of the show, there was a maritime fiddler who absolutely unleashed on stage, impressing all of us. One of the girls from Vancouver, my good friend Emily, recognizing that this was maritime folk music, asked me if this was the type of thing that I would hear at my high school dances. I couldn't help but laugh, but it truly showed me how much of a need we have to be educated about and connect with our peers from other provinces. For me, the most special moment of all of the Olympics was sitting around in my living room with my whole family, putting off Sunday dinner and watching the men's hockey gold medal game. All of us sat around squirming and biting our nails as the United States scored in the game with 24 seconds left, tying it up in the third period. My dad proceeded to make fun of me, reminding me that I don't even like hockey, as we waited for the fate of Canada in overtime. I'll tell you that even though I don't even like hockey, I don't think there has ever been a time when I've been so relieved and excited to see Canada score. As I put all of these experiences and fond memories on paper, I realized that none of these experiences would have been possible without the help of government financial support. My climate change voyage was funded by the British government, Encounters with Canada by each provincial government, the Canada Games by provincial and federal government, not to mention the recruitment of all of the wonderful volunteers. Lastly, I will never forget what I consider to be the best Olympics yet, and watching Canada own the podium with all of my friends. Je réalise que je n'aurais pas la même ouverture d'esprit ou la même connaissance de mon pays si je n'avais pas eu l'opportunité de rencontrer autant de mes semblables autour du pays. D'abord, je pense que je serais une personne complètement différente sans le support du gouvernement. Si le gouvernement ne supportait pas ces programmes, les seuls gens qui seraient exposés à la culture des autres provinces seraient ceux qui peuvent se permettre d'y voyager. Je ne pense pas que cela nous donnerait une bonne représentation de notre pays du tout. Je ne pense pas. J'éprouve beaucoup de reconnaissance pour les expériences que j'ai vécues dans les dernières années et je sais que la célébration du 150e anniversaire sera quelque chose dont cette génération se souviendra pour toujours. Merci.